Welcome back. As you may know from a previous video, I love my Knipex TwinGrip pliers. But lately, I've been wondering if Knipex and other screw removal pliers in general copied their design from somewhere else. So let's take a look at why old is new again. Now, besides the awesome, button style slip joint mechanism that we have here, the excellent tooth design and overall shape of the TwinGrips, what makes them incredible is their screw removal feature. Now, there's a ton of other companies that make pliers with that screw removal feature, and that's because they all sort of are copying some variation or some version of antique gas and burner pliers. These are the Utica 1300-8 gas and burner pliers. And there's a lot of different companies that have made gas and burner pliers, and we'll touch on that in a second. But first of all, let's talk about these specific pliers. They have 5 great ways to hold objects. So you have your small circular teeth pattern closest to the pivot point. Next up, we have the square here. And that's really good, of course, for square stock. It's going to grip it on all 4 sides. Pretty great. Not all Utica pliers, gas and burner pliers, have that square piece there. Next up, we have our big circular piece here for, of course, big circular stock, and you can get that open fairly large, okay? You also have the flat piece at the front for gripping flat stock and such. And then finally, we have the teeth at the very tip for grabbing circular stock again, like that, okay? And you will notice that that's very similar to screw removal pliers. Before we go any further, here's a banana 4 scale. Please subscribe. Let's do a real quick kind of backwards history lesson. On June 16th, 2021, Knipex announced their TwinGrip pliers. In 2002, Futaba Tools changed the name of their company to Engineer Inc. and claimed they introduced the first screw removal pliers. In 1910, Utica was advertising their gas and burner pliers. And even before that, many companies were already selling gas and burner pliers that had some variation of this gripping pattern on the front of the pliers. So as a side note real quick, before we get back into it, I want to talk about why these still are as good as these. First of all, the metal used is incredible and great and everything like that. But one thing I noticed about these pliers specifically is that they can grip almost the exact same size stock as these ones, even though these don't have the button type slip joint design. So now I have them both opened up about as wide as I can get them with my hands. Okay, and if you look and overlay them, you can actually grab much bigger stock with these guys than you can with the Knipex. And if we look at the handles, they're pretty much at the same amount of opening, even though, this can grab bigger stock. And if we close that up to grab about the same amount of stock, we can see that the handles are actually closer together. So who copied who? Did Knipex copy Engineer, or did Engineer come up with their design on their own, or did Engineer copy old gas and burner pliers and Knipex copied Engineer? We can get lost in the weeds of this. But what I find interesting is that on these old gas and burner pliers, And many gas and burner pliers I've seen, the parts of the teeth specifically that would grip a bolt or screw ends are the parts of the teeth that are usually most chewed up. Okay, so you can see here on these teeth, the very end of those teeth on the end there are chewed up, but the part over here are not as chewed up. Okay, so that would lead me to think that these were used for removing screws and the such by people, you know, back around 1910. Because if they were using actual stock, if they were using this for stock as well, because of the angle that the teeth open up at, if we had stock in there, you can see it would connect at the back of the teeth, and thus you would expect the teeth at the back to be the teeth that's mangled. So I will never know for sure who copied who, but we can certainly infer a lot based on these vintage designs. In the 19th and 20th century, there were so many innovative hand tools and designs that are now long forgotten. And by collecting old tools and using these old tools, we can get a glimpse into our forgotten history. This not only helps us reconnect with our heritage, but it helps us design new and better tools, which I find fascinating. It's important to learn about our history and keep those old ways alive so that we can innovate for a better future. Well, thanks for watching.